Well, welcome to another edition of 42nd Street Pete's Grindhouse. This is a little different here. A few days ago, a friend of mine called me. We were shooting the shit, and he mentioned that he had posted something on a group, one of the dead groups on Facebook, I guess, or something, that the Autorama Drive-In, which is about 20 minutes from here, is going to show Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead in one show. So he had posted this on, I think, Dawn of the Dead group or something like that, and was roundly, in his own words, ripped into asshole by the moderator, who said basically that the Night of the Living Dead print that they were showing was an unauthorized print, and fans should boycott that show. Boycott the show because someone is showing an unauthorized print of Night of the Living Dead. What is an authorized print of Night of the Living Dead? The Criterion edition that was restored, that I don't know what the rental fee would be on that, but it sort of strikes me the wrong way because basically whoever is doing this and some people that are involved in this are basically killing the joy of fans going to see these three movies. And as far as an authorized print, let's face it, when they made that film back in the 60s, the original title was Night of the Anubis or something like that, which wouldn't have drawn flies. So what they did was they changed it to Night of the Flesh Eaters, which immediately got them a cease and desist from Mike Rips, who had put out The Flesh Eaters in 1963, I believe. So then they changed it to Night of the Living Dead, and for whatever reason, didn't copyright it. And therein lied the problem, because this film got footballed all over the place. And I can honestly say that I've seen it theatrically close to 100 times. I've seen it on double bills with Last House on the Left, Skullduggery, spaghetti westerns, midnight shows, and other things. Back in the day, I would have to say I would have seen that film at least once a month. So, that being said, it's a great film, but I'm starting to lose my taste for the whole thing because of this fucking bullshit, for lack of better words, of these internet groups. There was one guy who basically said that the truck exploding in Night of the Living Dead was complete, it would have never happened because, quote, the truck was out of gas. Well, I sort of chimed in and explained that basically the gas tank was full of fumes, and yeah, it would have exploded. And I got a ration of shit for that. Well, in my former life, I was a mechanic. And I'll tell you something about gas. You put a gallon of gas in a bucket in the dead of winter and throw a lit match on it, odds are it won't light. The same bucket in the summer will blow right up because of the fumes. The fumes are what blew the truck up. But being a certified mechanic, this guy couldn't understand what I was saying and basically pooed me off as an asshole. So that's the reaction you get from some of these people on these groups, which is bullshit. Then it becomes a clique. You know? And like I said, I had a lot of respect for a lot of people involved in this film. And unfortunately, people don't know about, there's so much animosity behind the scenes, so to speak. Basically, the faces of the movie were Kyra Shawn and Bill Heinzman as the lead zombie. And Bill would come to conventions in character. He didn't charge anything for being in character. He was there being the lead zombie from Night of the Living Dead and having a bunch of fun with the fans posing for them in character as the lead zombie. He also made a movie based on his own lead zombie thing called Flesh Eater. And that started a riff, I believe, and there was two factions involved. And I'm not going to get into this, but, Bill, like I said, one of the nicest guys out there, was the face of the movie, as was Kyra. Did they ever get compensated for everybody using their likeness? Obviously not. So then we have, like I said, this little show that's going on, 3 movies at a drive-in. And just the fact that somebody's telling, people not to go, not to support this thing because it isn't their print of the movie, that's fucking bullshit. People want to enjoy the movies. They don't want the politics behind this shit, whatever. And you know something? I'll put it out there. When these guys were trying to raise money for that chapel out there, I was still doing Cinema Wasteland, and I ran an auction for them. When I had my old podcast with Todd Sheets, Back in the day, whenever these guys were doing appearances and stuff like that, I'd have them on and promote the appearances. Do you think I ever got invited to the opening of the chapel ceremonies? No, I didn't. Do you think I've ever been invited out to a Living Dead weekend? No, I haven't. And people would say, well, you don't like to travel, you wouldn't go. I said, well, be that as it may, it would be nice to actually get the invitation to think that maybe what I did mattered a little bit, but I should know better. It seems in the horror community in general, it's what have you done for me today? And I don't like that whole thing, and that's why I don't consider myself a real member of the quote horror community, because this show is basically about all kinds of grindhouse movies, including horror. So we leave it at that. But again, I just feel that this has become complete bullshit with people fighting about what's good for this and what's good for that. Has Dawn been released on a legit Blu-ray in this country? I don't think so. At least I don't know of any edition. But just the fact that someone would shit on the joy of fans going maybe to see these films for the first time altogether, that kind of sucks. And it's kind of a shitbag attitude, this elitist attitude that some fucking people in the business have, that, it's got to be their way or whatever, and it don't work that way. And like I said, I had a lot of respect for the movie. And you know something? Maybe you guys didn't make money on that movie. I know it launched Romero's career as a director, and Romero has done some wonderful work. But I have met most of the surviving cast over the years, and they were nice people, basically nice people. But then all of a sudden this shit started, and it's like, listen guys, you make bank on your convention appearances. I mean, okay, you lost money on the film or whatever you feel was taken away from you, whatever, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Well, now the film's in the Library of Congress, it's in the Museum of Modern Art, restored and all that stuff, so you should be happy. You should be happy that people actually want to see a film that's like 50-something years old and still has an impact. And like I said, it's just sad that people have to get this attitude that, what they say is the right way and this print is the only good print and whatever. Nobody looking at these films back to back, whether it be a 16 millimeter print or the restored print, would honestly notice any difference in the whole thing. So it's just kind of sad that people have adopted this attitude. And I really hope people go to see this triple feature and get to see it in a drive-in, because honestly, I don't think I could sit, through the 3 films in a drive-in with my arthritis and shit like that. Plus, I've already done this, sitting in a car is for younger people, not for guys in their 70s that got bad backs and arthritis and shit like that. So the whole point of this is let people go out and enjoy the films for what they are, and stop politicizing everything, and stop saying that everything, this has to be right and that has to be right. No. The ball was dropped years ago and the ball was picked up recently. That's the whole story. And you should revel in the fact, like I said, that any people actually want to see this film again after 50 years. So please, stop with the attitudes, stop with the infighting. We're all supposed to be fans with this shit. But it just seems that it's more advantageous to pick fights with people and shit like that. And I've seen it over the years. I've had a friend who was involved in a podcast with 2 other guys, and for whatever reason, they said they were going to discontinue the podcast, but they only said that to get rid of him, and they continued the podcast. So this seems to be the norm with a lot of the shit that's going on today with this exclusion and this and that and the other thing. And believe me, I've been a victim of the horror genre, the horror community exclusion for years. Trust me on that. And like I said, I put over a lot of people over the years, put over their appearances and shit like that, and helped with the chapel thing and stuff like that. So it isn't like I didn't do anything, nor did I expect anything in return. But the snub is there and has always been there, and obviously always will be there, because I'm 42nd Street Pete, and I don't fit into their whatever they feel. So that's my show for today. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for tuning in. And if you're in the area, the Autorama, go see the show.